What it do?
Hi. Today we're reviewing the new Sir Richard Bishard record titled how the hell do you say this? Oneiric Formulary?
Yes.
Or is it
Oneiric Formulary.
Oneiric Formulary?
Yeah, Google, Google says Oneiric.
Oneiric. Okay. Alright, so the first song is Call to Order. What do you think of this?
Uh, did not like the first song. It kind of felt discordant. I'm looking through my notes right now. It's like tough to see in the dark, so I'm making do with what I can.
Turn
Um,
on the light then.
no. I don't want to. I don't like the light down here. It'll work. Um, yeah, no. So this one, I don't know if he was being ironic by calling it a call to order, but I found that it was anything but a call to order. It felt like I was in a Catholic cathedral getting just like destroyed by like an Oriental demon. That's the only way I can really describe the song. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I actually kind of like the opener. I think it's like a direct contrast to the title. It is kind of chaotic and hectic. It's very alien because there's like a lot of layers to it. There's like bits of like ambient. There's like the weird like Oriental melodies in the back that all like coalesces like I'm inside of like a religious UFO or something. It's a shame. It's a shame it only lasts for like a minute and a half. But I thought for what was there, it was pretty interesting. Okay. Next we're moving to Celerity. Is that how you say it?
Also, for the record, Oriental demon is not a racist comment. It's just a demon from the Orient.
Yeah, the track we're reviewing now is Celerity. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Great. What do
I
you think
think
of
so.
what you think of this one?
So Celerity, I definitely liked more than the first track. Kind of felt like I was on a chase, kind of like moving through different vistas, like kind of in the countryside or like in like a bamboo forest, maybe like seeing water. Um, I think my biggest issue with it was, while that was nice, I guess it felt kind of lacking by the end. Like it felt like I was moving through these different areas, but it didn't really feel like I kind of got anywhere. I guess in my dream state or in the song.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think musically it kind of matches the title it's stuck with. It's a very like there's this very swift effortlessness about the instrumental performances. Like it's very dexterous when you hear the strumming on the guitar or on the acoustics. It sounded like something I would hear like at a medieval like feast in like a fantasy land.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. I wish it kind of morphed into more of a dynamic set piece because it kind of just it felt like it was running in place the entire time.
Yep.
Yeah, but I still liked it. I didn't wow me or anything, but I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was good. Okay. Next one is Mitz LINCTUS CODEINE.
Codeine Company. Oh man.
That's
I think
codeine.
I felt the most strongly about this one. So I lost my soul a long time ago, but it's to a certain three-lane MOBA style game. But if I had a soul, then I would have lost it to. God, this is so stupid, dude. I can't even. First of all, I can't read my handwriting. I have god awful handwriting. I'm sitting in the darkness trying to read what the hell I wrote. And I'm like, dude, I think it's funny when I write it down. And then, like, I didn't rehearse it at all. So then it just comes up. It's just like the dumbest thing. Okay, the joke is that I worked in retail, and it just sounds like one of those soul sucking songs that I had to fold like 100 pairs of jeans to for hours.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so like if you gave me the option to be the CEO of this company, but I had to listen to this song in my office every day, yeah, the $40 million salary with stock options would not make it worth it.
Okay, yeah, that was quite a buildup. I had no idea where you were going. When you went on like a massive tirade, like I'm sick in the dark. My handwriting sucks. My wife left me.
Yeah, my future wife.
Yeah, I think
Oh man.
contrary to your enjoyment of the song, I thought compared to the other two tracks, having their own like unique landscape or their own unique soundscapes, This one has more of like a beachfront direction. The laid back chords are like very soothing to hear for me, and I think the overall composition is well structured. But I don't think it really fits into the whole, or with the rest of the record being a lot more ambitious in its like musical endeavors. It is kind of bland, I will admit, but I still enjoyed it.
That's interesting. I'll have to listen back through it. On the first two times I listened to it, I didn't really get a beach vibe, but I'll have to listen through that to see if I can pick up on that.
Okay.
But that's interesting.
All right, the next song is Renaissance Nod. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, so I think this one personally was my favorite. It felt like what I wanted to see out of Celerity. It felt almost, for me, like the continuation of Celerity. It felt like the destination that I was trying to get to in Celerity. Yeah, because like you said, like within Celerity, it felt like I was moving through like a medieval countryside. And again, it felt like I finally found home. But I guess it wasn't quite the home that I remembered. It felt almost like I found the countryside pillaged or my family ravaged. So it felt very like it felt emotional for me.
Okay.
I just kind of like somber. I know we kind of mentioned that in the last album we reviewed.
Yeah.
I think I kind of tend towards songs that are more like that. And so yeah, that track spoke to me more.
Really, yeah. For me, I ended up not liking it a whole lot. I thought it was like a bit of a speed bump in both like song quality and my enjoyment so far. It just feels empty. Like I think that may have been the intention with like how sparse it is with the lack of complementary instruments, because the main instrument on here I think is a dulcimer, but it doesn't really vary it up. It doesn't vary itself enough for me to like continue to be interested. And I think a big reason why is because the other three tracks have been like less than like 3 minutes. This one is 6, and it like slogs its way through the 6-minute runtime because there's like no new ideas. It's just kind of stationary, or just doesn't really lead anywhere. But it's very interesting that you see it as like a thematic tether to Celerity. It's interesting. Alrighty, all right. This is the song I want to hear your feedback on the most. What did you think about Graveyard Wanderers?
Oh God, hold on. Let me pull up. So I texted my notes to myself. So let me pull it up to make sure that I actually have it.
Text yourself? What the frick?
Just text your own number, bro. Hold on. That's not the one. Where the hell? Oh, you know what? No, that was the one I texted you about. What's this song called again? Graveyard what?
Wanderers.
Graveyard Wanderers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think if his goal was to make me feel like I was in Hades, like moving through the underworld in just like a dark, spacious cavern with like water dropping, all around. It felt like it was in a cave.
That's what I got to.
And there were like, it seemed like industrial sounds that he would just to kind of make it not completely natural, but still kind of, I don't know if dreamlike would be the right word, but just still like unsettling. Yeah, spectral would be a good way to put it. No, not for me. I didn't like it, and I don't think I can't think of like a scenario where I would play that for any other human being in my life. Like driving in a car, just like, yo, hold on, let me throw this on. And then we're just in a cave, except we're in a car. Yeah.
I love bumping to ambient drone music too with my friends. Makes it a great party. Yeah, for me, I think this is my favorite on the album, mostly because, like you said, there's a lot of layer and attention to detail where like it really puts you in like this like underground labyrinth, or like a cave or like an underground dungeon where there's just water dripping and there's like beasts of various natures and like ghosts and ghouls and various creatures of the night. I think from that aspect, I think the sound alone was incredible. There are these like different pieces of drum.
I'm pissed.
Dude, those are the
Sorry. Go on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, there are these like different tones of drone music that are like manipulated into various effects. So like you hear spirits, you hear ghouls, you hear beasts all like snarling at you while you're trying to make your way through this like dark watery cavern. I think it's like it reminds me a lot of like when I or the last time I played Bloodborne. You know, the gothic aesthetic of that
Mm,
world is what like what kind of stuck with me, what I was able to connect it with the most. So
mm,
I think on the album this is probably the most ambitious work. I can see
yeah.
how it's not for you, but like I would definitely play this if like I need to like study or if like, it's like Halloween time and I just want to play something spooky.
True. That's interesting. You connected it with Bloodborne. Pretty sure Bloodborne is a PS exclusive, so unfortunately, I've never had the pleasure of playing it. It seems really cool. Um,
You can get one for like 150 or 200.
yeah, true. But I probably won't. No, I definitely won't. But thinking about it, yeah, I think I connected it most with like again, just like the underworld. Like I studied Latin in like high school and college, and so it just like I don't know, maybe it triggered me too because I just thought of all the Latin translations that I would like not do or like skip. But just like I remember having to translate.
Prospera, I
Yeah, yeah, like stuff like that. Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Um, just like I don't know, it's not a happy place, the underworld. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
well, I really loved it. It's probably my favorite on the album. All right, moving on is Dust Devils. What do you think of this one? Or is it called Dust Devils?
yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Dust Devils. Let me again pull up my picture. Also, if you hear someone in the background, my brother is working out right now. What it do?
Bruh.
Um, oh no, what the heck? I texted you about this one too.
Yeah, you did.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, I remember Dust Devils now. Uh, yeah, it's funny because, like I said, we were texting about this, and what did you say? You felt like the. Actually, no, I'll leave that alone until we get to the end of the album. I didn't want to spoil your thoughts on the album overall. No, that track definitely the most repetitive one that I encountered so far in the track,
Okay.
and it felt like Witcher background music, which isn't necessarily bad,
Uh,
but I'd rather have Witcher background music with The Witcher.
yeah, I can definitely see that. I did like it, but I do agree with you. I think the repetition wasn't in its favor. But in the same semblance, I do like the mixture of like Celtic, Oriental music, and kind of these like Middle Eastern percussive elements to it. I thought that was a very interesting fusion that I would definitely like love to see more of, or not even more of, just expanded upon where it's not stationary, where it doesn't like lay sentry on the ground. Because I think at this point in the album, most of the songs that I've heard don't really sound like they're tethered together. They just sound like they're ideas that are kind of just splurged out and like, hey, here's a product. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think for my taste, having more of a thematic tether definitely makes an album much more concise than kind of having an album where you kind of have these like interesting ideas, but they don't like meld together very well.
Right. I feel like it's, yeah, I agree. I feel like it's much easier to digest if there's at least some thematic element. I'm not saying it's required,
Yeah,
but it helps it all fit together much more, yeah, nicer.
yeah. Okay, so moving on is Enville. What do you think about this one?
So I actually liked Enville, but it definitely felt like a departure from the ideas that were explored in the album earlier. I definitely appreciate what you said about the last song. While I didn't really like enjoy it quite as much, it definitely felt like that kind of fusion there. Whereas Enville, I think, was more just kind of like just finger picking on the guitar. Felt I don't listen to a ton of bluegrass or like Appalachian music or anything, but it just really seemed like him and his guitar. Um, and like I have a small, like a slight background in guitar, so excuse me, that's my alarm. A slight background in guitar, so I think I just appreciated listening to him kind of jam out, even though again it was very different from the rest of the album that we've reviewed thus far.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it sounds a lot more modern than kind of the more like historic elements or the more like cultural elements that the other tracks have had. Um, it's more reminiscent of like you said, like a Western bluegrass sound. which isn't bad, but like it feels really out of place, especially since it doesn't have its own unique like flavor or like flair to it. It only lasts for like I think like 2 minutes, and it doesn't really go anywhere. It's just more like a sound piece that isn't really describing a location very well. If you ask me. Okay. Next one we're going to is Black Sarah. What do you think about this one?
So I really like what you said about how just like there's no theme, and I don't know if that was intentional. It's called like Oneiric, like whatever an Oneiric apparently means, like pertaining to dreams. And so I understand that sometimes dreams don't necessarily have a unifying theme.
Yeah.
But again, it just Black Sarah didn't fit in with, like, it felt like the first half of the album, but it felt like it did kind of I guess relate more closely to I'm blanking on the last song we just reviewed because I don't have the track list right in front of me. Dust Devils, or no, ENVILLE. Yeah. So it felt closer to ENVILLE than like any of the past ones we did, like Renaissance, whatever.
Yeah.
I like the second half of Black Sarah. There was like almost like a heavy metal like riff that went on. Yeah. So I like that. And then there was this cool like rhythm that was going just for the last like 15 seconds before the end of the track. So I actually did enjoy just running into that issue of there not being an overarching theme for the album, for better or for worse.
Yeah. I think here it's another incredibly like dexterous performance. There are a lot like more sharper notes that you can hear. I think it's probably the best performed track of its kind on the record. I do like that it's very refined, where you don't hear any like finger sliding with how many like notes he's hitting, or like any like rumbant thumping of the acoustic that he's using. But once again, it doesn't really go anywhere. It's kind of it does progress, but when it gets to the end, I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, because it kind of feels like he materialized this idea in his head and just played it out rather than try to like refine it, which I can appreciate. I think that takes a very special level of talent to just, I have something in my mind, just gotta get it out. But I don't think it worked out musically for me. It kind of just felt like a lesser ambitious variant of Celerity, if you ask me.
Of who? Oh, of Celerity.
Yeah, Celerity.
Gotcha.
It kind of loses a lot of its impact and novelty when I hear like another version of it, like this far into the record.
I'm curious, what do you think makes you feel like a song kind of goes somewhere?
I mean, I think the easiest one would probably just be like, where does the song start and where does it end, or like how much I get out of it. I know that's a very subjective thing. Like what did you get out of it? Like for me, it didn't really. It just felt like this far into the record, I kind of want to hear more ambition, more of an interesting take on sound, more like concise elements, more refined things. But I didn't really get that from this song. But like, what did you like about it?
About this song in particular?
Yeah.
It was really, like I mentioned before, just the rhythm kind of near the end. I think once I realized that there didn't really seem to be a theme for the album, I just feel kind of lost with it. And then I'm just trying to like listen to the sounds that he's exploring, that, like you said, sometimes feel like they aren't really going anywhere. And then just try to appreciate the sounds that I do enjoy. And that's kind of like all I've got.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next one, The Coming of Rats. What do you think about this one? No?
Two big thumbs down, dude. Yeah, so like there's the background, I don't know what you'd call it, like I don't know, I don't have a music background, like melody or whatever it is. And then occasionally there's just a swelling of what I can only assume to be the rats, which are, I don't know, strings or violins, or I don't know what they are. It doesn't get too overwhelming or anything, but if anything, it's really just kind of, it just doesn't fit well together. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it's funny. I could picture where I was in tracks like Celerity or the Renaissance one, but then in this one, I was just like very confused. I was like, it didn't work for me. And it wasn't discordant like I felt that the first track was. It just felt, maybe unrefined. Like he didn't really explore it as much as he could have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for me, I think coming off of like 2 or 3 tracks where it's mostly been like a solo instrumental performance, I appreciated the incorporation of like more instrumental layers here. Like I like the grouse string overtone. I think which you refer to as the swelling of like rats. I think it's I think it's a bit unsettling, or not unsettling, but it's more like it's painting this picture of like a very uncertain area for me, because of the way it kind of ascends over the passive acoustic strums. It sounds a lot to me. I think it sounded like more complete. It didn't necessarily like have a dynamic ending or like made me feel like wow, I'm in a completely different place. I have a completely different mindset, or I enjoyed it. But it did sound much more finished and complete than the previous 2 songs that it precedes. All right, moving on. Last song, Vellum. Vellum. All right, what'd you think of this one?
So, I actually did not listen to the last track of the album until like we were about to review.
Yeah.
And you said that I wasn't missing much, but for the sake of integrity, I did listen through it.
Yeah.
And you were correct. I was not missing much. No, it didn't really give me anything that the rest of the album didn't. I didn't feel like it really explored anything new or interesting. Yeah, it's just like kind of forgettable.
Yeah, it isn't like it's not like looping scenery like a couple of the other like instrumental solo tracks are, but I just don't think by the end there are some different ideas on display. Like there's more like riffage, there's more interesting passages, but it felt very hollow at the end, like as if like I got nothing from it. It was kind of like I was looking at a ghost. It like started breakdancing and then it just went away. Like
You're expecting a spiritual experience, but then this supernatural being is just a meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely hollow.
Yeah, it was like a very nauseating finish because I've heard this sound like 5 or 6 times at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh man, I don't want any more. What would I do? I don't want any more kale. I don't want any more asparagus. Like that. All right, moving on to overall. So I think I'll go first. I think there were some cool experiments and ideas on this album. I think Graveyard Wanderers, I think, even though that you don't like it, I do think it was the most ambitious and the more like refined track on the record because I think it had a goal and it really accomplished it. Like, it didn't feel like it laid century to its ambition. It really went through with it, and there's just a lot of replay value there for me. I also like the kind of the cultural fusion on Dust Devils, even though that one didn't really go anywhere either. But I think the surplus of like lone instrumental tracks offered nothing of value. Like I think when I heard Celerity, I was like, damn, this is cool. I can't wait to hear how this expands or how this plays in with other songs. But it doesn't. Each one sounds like they're kind of like these different like riff ideas that he kind of just played out on his guitar because he just kind of thought of them, which is not bad. But I don't think that level of rawness really translated well to like being more expressive. There also isn't really anything tethering to the tracks to each other. So when I'm listening to the album, it feels like more of a slog. Like first half, couple songs I like, okay, piece I don't like, and then the amazing and like 2 really good songs. Then in the latter half, it was just like it was like backloaded with these tracks that just feel like they didn't add a whole lot. Like, it felt like it was smothered in these inconsequential songs that took away from kind of the more ambitious stuff on the record.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a 0 out of 10. It's not Whenever, Wherever by Shakira. Yeah. So I think, okay, title, really cool. Using ancient Greek, that's extra points in my book. But as far as the actual songs, yeah, I didn't get too much out of this album. I think just kind of like the movement in Celerity into that kind of scenery in Renaissance was like one of my biggest takeaways. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, that's another one of my alarms.
No worries.
I don't know if you do this, but I take like naps during the day. It's probably not the best, or I don't know. It works for me, but like I set like 10 alarms if I need to wake up, or I know I need to wake up, just because I'll sleep through like 7 of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, And then I think you kind of hit on just some other things that I did think. So like, while Dust Devils, again, like I didn't really enjoy it that much. I think I did agree with what you said about the fusion. I do like fusion, especially when it's kind of interesting. And I think like combining, I don't know, what is it, Celtic? I don't know how to pronounce it. Like music with kind of like a Middle Eastern flavor is definitely a really interesting take that I don't hear too much of. That's definitely cool, even if I don't know too much about it. Would you mind turning it off? Dope, thanks. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I think if I had to give it a rating overall, I'm gonna steal a rating system that I got from Patrice O'Neill, and I'm gonna do it's a 1 to 30 rating system rather than a 1 to 10 or 0 to 10 or whatever. So I'm gonna have to give it a. So like the way he does it is like 1 to 10 is like kind of not that great. 10 to 20 or whatever is like average, and then 20 to 30 is like good, and then everywhere in between is just kind of like a small increment.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to give it like, man, oh, like a I'll give it a 12.
12.
Like there was some stuff that worked for me, but it really wasn't enough for me to feel like it was like I don't know, worth listening to, I think, all over again.
Yeah, if I had to rate it, I do feel the same way. Like Graveyard Wanderer is the only thing that'll probably keep me coming back to this album. But yeah,
on Halloween, once a year.
It's better than nothing. There's some albums that I love that I've never went back to since. Yeah, yeah. If I had to rate it, I would probably take your score and divide it by 3. That would probably be the rating I'll give it.
You give it a 3 out of 10?
I give it a 12 divided by 3, not 3.
Sorry, dude. I'm a biology major. I can't do math, right?
Bruh, quick math. Yeah, I would give it a 4. I think overall, I already said overall, it is an album that had potential, but really does not capitalize on it very well. If you ask me, it's not my cup of tea when it comes to like avant-garde stuff. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you, Mr. What's your new tag?
I'm working on it.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah. Working title.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording.